Good evening, brothers. For our syllabus item for tonight's meeting, Brother Andrew and I will be doing a presentation on the KSC Branch Development Program, which has been discussed, which has been developed over the last couple of years by the Order Development Committee, primarily by Brother John Hennessy, our former state chairman, who has been looking at the renewal of the order since 2011 when he came onto state council. It started with the idea of the Knights of the Southern Cross marketing itself better. So like doing with the whole marketing concept that we are here for, we need to know what the reason for our existence is, and we need to have a strategy rather than just wandering aimlessly. The title of this is From Wandering to Journeying. Just as our Holy Father Pope Francis has spoken about, the church needs to develop from wandering in the desert like the Israelites were doing under Moses. We're just wandering without a purpose. We need to be journeying with a stated goal. So, in the same way as Pope Francis wants our order, wants the church to be showing, the world of what the church stands for, and that it's got a plan for the future and trying to meet the needs of our society in general and the world. In the same way, the Knights of the Southern Cross wants to show the wider community, not only the Catholic community or the Christian community, but the wider community, what the reason for its existence, and try and develop so that it meets the needs of the church and the wider community.
Okay, so a lot of the work that Brother Michael, myself, and Brother John and the rest of the Order Development Committee have been working on is that of forming new branches, but also existing branch renewal. We find nowadays that branches are going into recess because they don't have a plan not to. So a lot of these branches that have gone into recess haven't had a purpose, they've lost their purpose, they've lost the meaning, and they've slowly withered away. And I'll add to that an ageing base, and that doesn't help. The energy's lost, that that gulf between generations widens, and it gets harder to form or to keep new, existing branches going. So the idea is for our branches to remain relevant in this day and age, and there's a lot for us that we are relevant today. We just need to seek that purpose for ourselves.
Brother John Hennessy has, one of the key things he has said over the last few years is our order doesn't have a membership problem, it's more of a relevance problem. So we need to, rather than just attracting new members for the sake of getting new members, we need to be relevant to the needs of our parishes, our church, and the wider community. And then from that, if we do that properly, then the new members will come into our organisation.
Yeah. So this slide shows Brother John Hennessy's presented. So the planning for new branches and branch renewal. So our vision is to describe finished projects or desired outcomes. So this is the branch vision that Brother John Hennessy has come up with, but it's incumbent upon us. We can have our own branch vision, and it's up to us to think about that. So Brother John's branch vision is for the Knights of the Southern Cross to be a relevant, culturally diverse Catholic men's organisation actively addressing the new needs of today's church in support of Parish and the broader diocese. And that's in accordance with the objects of our order. So if we move on, how do we get there? Well, how do we get there? That's our mission. So Brother John also has a branch mission statement. Now that again is this is one that he's come up with, but we have the freedom to come up with our own branch mission. And in his case, the branch mission is to engage with parish clergy, regional bishops, and fellow parishioners to identify the new needs of today's church and to demonstrate leadership, faith, and discipline in satisfying those needs.
Probably at this point, I would think we would like some feedback from members about what they think about the branch mission statement and the branch vision, and whether we think that is relevant. We see that as relevant and applicable to our own situation.
Well, let's. What do we think should be our branch vision? And does anyone have any specific ideas as to what they think our branch vision should be, or a part of the branch vision?
Maybe we just give our members a bit of
Do we
time just to look
do
through
we
it.
have a mission at the moment? You know, what we do during the year? Is that not adequate?
That serves us, but I think we can get lost in that. I think people, we can probably, I think because Brother John, he's adamant that he doesn't like, because he thinks that's the stuff we do. We should be talking about the stuff we're going to do. So we should always be looking for more to do. I know what you're saying, Jerry, we do. That's one of the things we try to sell ourselves on. But maybe it's time to, maybe that doesn't attract people. Maybe that doesn't attract men. That's what we, maybe what's likely to attract new members is the promise of what could be done. So that's, I'm sort of with you on this, Jerry. I tend to like sell ourselves on what we do. John Hennessy is different. Because he's more of a thinker. So for him, he needs to have these branch visions and missions as for a purpose. Because he's not a doer. He's not. Our branch is very active.
Yeah. So this is to stimulate branches that are not so active.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's not a concern for us.
No, yeah.
Although I think the principle still applies. It's good while we're an active branch to be talking about these things, because we don't want to fall into the trap of some of the branches. We've always just done the same thing that they always do, and then the needs of the time with the change in parishes, the change in the makeup of our church, much more multicultural. Some branches are very, they haven't embraced people from different cultures, like our branch has been quite successful at. But it's good. We shouldn't be waiting till our branch is like nearly about to go into recess before we start looking at ourselves and our activities and the reason for why we do things. Are we meeting the needs of our parish and our community? So,
I think also we've got to consider that we live in different times. We have a generation of millennials and the pre-generation who have different requirements. In other words, they don't seem to want to involve themselves in areas that we consider they should be involved. They're more into social media, you name it. And I know even within our golf clubs around the world, this is a fact that we're all closing down because today's generation is just not that interested. So I think we need to address the fact that we have a lack of interest issue with people who actually want to get involved in things other than instant gratification, because that's what we're into. That's what you've happened.
Yeah.
I think our vision here is at the Dandenong branch is fantastic because we've got support from our clergy. I mean, I sort of feel for other branches where the clergy aren't on board, where it's very hard to do anything if they're not on board. I mean, think about it. I mean, we're so fortunate here as a branch that we, I think we've got holy hour this evening that they can't attend. But if we sort of think about changing our branch nights, we'll have two priests here. It's just that easy. I mean, that will support us. And I think our vision, our goal is there because if they want anything, we're there to support, and vice versa. So that way, this branch will never go into a recess in such.
I don't think any branch thought they were ever going to recess, Tony. Those branches that have gone into recess, I don't think they ever thought they were going to go into recess. It can sneak up on you. You can get complacent, and
Well, I know for a fact St Mary's, the PP didn't like the Knights.
no, that didn't help. I know that.
It didn't help at all, and it actually went from 35 strong. Correct me if I'm not right, Kevin. 25 strong. We had big meetings there until there was no support from the clergy, and bang.
So are you saying that we probably do what we're doing except looking for new projects?
Well, that's part of it, but
The idea is to always be on the lookout to be meeting the needs. So when the Knights were set up nearly 100 years ago, they met the needs of the time. There was a need to be organised economically. A lot of the things need to be done in secret. So the order was developed for that. What we're saying is the times have changed, the circumstances have changed, but not in some ways the order hasn't changed to meet the needs of the time. Some branches are doing it better than others, and our branch has definitely been more successful in adapting to change the new needs than a lot of other branches.
So why don't we make it an added thing in our branch to be a beacon to the branches that need, we're as a successful branch.
yeah,
You know, start off doing the simple things that we're doing until you get your feet on the end and grow from there and encourage them to have their membership drives, etc., etc.
That's
Because
already
if you,
happened with Oakley. That's already happened.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if you just keep pushing that, like that's should be one of our goals, apart from just supporting and taking care of ourselves.
no, I know that.
I really like that point that Brother, because the thing is too, we've got our branch vision. This is just like a template.
Yeah.
Every branch should have its own particular vision developed by its branch, not just set from on high by our state
Because
council.
that's what branches need. They need a leg up, they need someone to set an example, to show them what to do, to give them a few ideas, you know, be there for them. Because if you put one guy in there, you're talking about starting new branches. If you put a couple of guys that are interested in doing stuff and they haven't got a clue what to do, it'll fall apart as quick as you know. Because, you know, unless you show them how to do stuff. And I think that would be a good thing for a strong branch like this to maybe look at. And the one up in the country as well, Gerard, that's a strong branch, the Bentley is a strong branch. There's a few strong branches that could set a really good example for branches that are maybe just wanting to do it, but not sure how to do it.
So
The issue's not what we're doing.
Well, that's what he said, branch vision, what's our vision?
That was a question just to sort of see the feedback we get. The purpose of today is that we've got two members from our Order Development Committee. The aim is, in the part for the last 3 years, we've basically Brother John Hennessy do the presentations, and this is a lot of the work that he's done. Now, we're trying to put our words, our
The next phase is to try and bring it out to the branches,
Yeah,
the individual
We're
branches.
using this as an example for us, and these boys are doing a marvellous job, but they'll continue to do it, going to branches that don't work quite as good as we're working at the moment, and to help them out. So, the ideas coming out.
Yeah, but the thing is that, I'm just saying, like, if you go to another branch today that's still going, but, you know, struggling,
Yeah.
the first question they're going to ask you is, you know, how do we do this? Can you help us to do that? What can you do for us in this area, that area? And you say, well, we've got a few strong branches, and I've talked to them, and they're happy to, you know, share their success story with you guys, you know? And you can pick and choose what you think might best suit you till you get going.
And that's exactly what we're going to look at doing.
Yeah, sure. That's what I think like.
yeah, I probably should let Brother
Yes,
Kevin.
we have.
What we're doing now, I think, is good, because that's why we're keeping them. Going back to the years I've been here, we lost not a lot of members, but they've got nothing to do. They didn't want to come in and go to a meeting. And I'll tell you another thing that turned a few off was having the Bible discussions we used to have. They didn't think that was relevant to a night's meeting. You know, I know a few of them that gave it away. They lasted 18 months, 2 years. But now that we've got activities to do, that's what's keeping us involved. But the thing we've got to remember, we don't over-organise ourselves, because the few we've got are doing everything. You know? And we've actually got what they want. If we could enthuse some of the other branches to do some of the things, take on St Vincent de Paul's, help them with the sandwich, help them with the, barbecues and all that. But bearing in mind, as somebody said, a lot of these groups are older. Like all the country ones, where I come from, none of them, if Bendigo's the close, they used to have Charlton, St Arnaud, which they all had them. And I was up there only 12 months ago. There's not one guy up there now that knows anything about the Knights of the Southern Cross.
So the idea is to be always looking at the needs. So
Yep.
as long as we're always looking, because that's how you get new members, because we might say, we'll probably proceed a little bit, it'll become a bit more apparent. If we say, here's a need that we're in the parish,
Yeah.
who have we got in here that can meet that need? And we might say, well, we actually haven't got anyone who's quite suited. And we say, well, actually, maybe we should be targeting this person who could help complement our branch in this area.
The idea is that we've got plenty of men in these parishes, right? That would be great for the order, but they need a purpose. They need a purpose.
That's what I'm saying. They've got to have a purpose. That's why we lost it years ago. They didn't have a purpose.
Yes, and I think the idea.
People don't want to come to a meeting.
No, and just go through reports and whatnot.
Once a month.
We have people, even within this room and within our parishes, we're all Catholics, we're all devout Catholics, but we all have our different strengths and we all have our different focuses with regards to our faith. What we've got to try to do is to utilise those, incorporate those. Our objects span quite a range, for example, our branch has generally been pretty good at fundraising and the social side. One area that it probably has lacking has been in the spiritual or the formation side, and that's one. And there's no reason why we can't have more spiritual formation inclined members to get involved and present that, have that as part of our portfolio. Encourage debates and things like that. So, I'll Brother Gamal first.
Yeah, I agree with Brother Gerard as well. You have to target the audience I'm millennial. So my generation is, to come forward, not everybody is like me. So to come forward and say, right, I should do something about it, I never knew Knight of Southern Cross. I'm not from Australia, I'm from outside. We never had anything like that back home. But keep hearing Father Art say every week, Knight of Southern Cross, Knight of Southern Cross. It made me, to the curiosity to go and see what it is. And then again, as Gary said, the millennials are all about social media, and sometimes when you talk to them, I'm in my 30s, but when you talk to the young guys, all centenarians is like under 30 or 25, 24, 18, those age. So what they want is something different, what they want to do. But they might be thinking, but I got an idea from what they were talking, that they think this Knight of the Southern Cross is just for people, I'm not saying all, but just the people like, measured, not like them, so they think they are not measured, their opinion is not valid or something like that. So what we need to do is we need to break that, and then break that wall and say, hey, you are the future, you all have to come in. If you don't come in, there is no future for Knight of the Southern Cross. And there is a day that every one of us, going to be, not be able to do what we are doing right now. There is a peak time, and there is no peak time for everybody. So, as I said, we need to find these people. That's what I'm doing, trying to reach out to individual and ordinary, and hearing them what they want to do and how they look at it and what's PhD, and then I give my input what is Knight of Southern Cross as I see as a young guy.
What we're trying to present is there should be a future for the Knights of the Southern Cross, as long as we're focusing on identifying and meeting the needs of our church in today's world. As long as we're always focused on doing that, there should always be a future for our organisation.
Brother Joe, if you have
I'm just going back, to our vision. the relevant statement is actively addressing the new needs of today's church. Now, I'm sure they're not talking about sausage sizzle. What are the new needs of today's church? I think it's defending the church
Yep.
against it.
Yep.
And now, do we have the skills within our organisation or within our branch to carry out that object? That's the question. I mean, when we have the letter writing before, a few months ago, I think we had about 4 people turn up. Remember we
Yeah.
did it?
Yeah.
It was just hopeless.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing that we really got to
What we're trying to do is sort of show you the process. So starting at revision, then going down the next level with submission, and then going a little bit more specifics. Just with our mission, is there anyone here who feels that there's any part of our mission statement or our vision that is just not relevant or not correct for what we're trying to do? Or I know Brother Jerry said that we should be one of our missions should be to help other branches who are not as strong. So that might be something we'd like
Well, I
to
think
put in
you've
our
got to-
statement.
You've got to identify, it says here, to identify new needs of today's church.
Yeah.
That's the relevant
Yeah.
paragraph. So you really need to say, well, what are the new needs of this? What are we talking about?
Okay.
And this is, it's,
I'm just kind of like add to that one thing, and supposed to be anyway, is that, the needs are still the same needs as they've always been. Whichever path you want to go on, whether it's a pastoral role or an economic role, that question will come up, no question about it. It's not what you have to do, it's how you're going to do it. And the millennials, they're going to have their way of tackling the same problem as we have right now, but they're just going to tackle it in a different way. And if you give them the opportunity to say how they'll do it, they might be interested in doing it. But if you lecture them and tell them, this is what we're going to do, they'll say, well, go ahead and do it. Get somebody else to do it.
just a comment here. You're doing a presentation. If we're going to be trying to nut out every little part there, we're only going to get to the end of it. So I'm just wondering
This is leading into it. This is
okay. I'm just wondering because if we go too deep.
No, that's all right. We'll move on.
Okay, so what we're saying here now, we see as the values in our branch. So we respect the individuality of our members, and we're bonded by our common faith, our order, which we all believe in. So our sense of fraternity and sense of belonging, honesty, a sense of responsibility to our fellow brothers and to our church, loyalty, and we believe that we take pride in clear communication. Is there anything there that we feel that wouldn't be applied to our members? I would think that would be something we would hold as an ideal, and we would try to do that. Is there anything important that we've left out there, do we think? Okay, we might move on.
Okay, so then with that, we need to address what our parish's needs are, or what our church's needs are in this day. And these are just some ideas. You'll have your own. So we'll go through them. The first one, probably the most important one, the one that we've always been there for, is the support and liaise with our clergy. That's always been important to support our clergy, and even today, in this day and age where they get attacked endlessly, we're there to support our clergy. We're also here to welcome you, apart from other needs, to welcome newcomers. We always have new people entering our parishes. They think they can feel isolated and alone and foreign. Welcoming them helps them integrate better into our parish life. Spiritual formation is an important part of our faith. The growth and development of our faith. A lot of our, some of our parishioners and members aren't as, developed spiritually as others. That's a need to address as well.
What we have here is a list that has been identified by the Order Development Committee of needs that exist in some parishes. Now, we might go down through the list. I know in my own parish, the statue of Our Lady and Rosary crusade in parishes that is already done by groups such as the Legion of Mary. We also have a group that do the have a pilgrim statue going around our parish. That group, that need is already being met by another organisation. Whereas in the western suburbs, some of the branches there, that is very much part of their work because that's fulfilling a need that's not met. So with our list of activities here, we might find ones that are relevant to us. Like I know, for example, some of the Knights assisted with the stewardship program at St. Gerard's for 2 or 3 years ago.
Every
Every
time.
Yeah.
Years. Every time.
Whereas some other parishes, another group is already doing that. So the idea is to be looking through this list of activities. This may be applicable to some of our activities. We may already be doing these. Some of these we may say we're not going to become involved with because there are other groups already meeting the need, and there's no reason to duplicate or to take over their work. There may be needs of our parish here that are obvious to us that are not on this list. So
we'll go through them.
I thought we'd just go through them briefly at this stage.
Yeah. So other needs and discussions and debate, retreats, practical support for use of variety skills for trade professions, fundraising, working bees, stewardship programs, training in organisational and personal development programs, expectations, public speaking, confidence building, responding to issues confronting Catholics.
Well, back on those,
Yeah.
we have got nearly all those, or we've been part of those, as long as I've been in the parish.
Yep.
We've had all these things.
Yep.
Because we've got 2 priests whose parents have been in the Knights, they understand what it is. It's been passed to us, they get involved. If you've got priests that don't or are not interested in the Knights, like with the group you're in, see, you're talking to all these young people now. That's a great initiative that fathers, the priests have got going, isn't it? And that's where it's all going to come from. It starts up there, you know, and they've got, like, we've all been on all these committees,
Yeah.
stewardships and all that for 50 years I've been in the parish. So we've all been involved. And until Knights, I remember, lots of us joined in my day because of the Holy Name Society. Probably half of me have never heard of it. But we joined that at school. And when we went on after school, every second Sunday of the month, we had the Holy Name, you know, and that's where they got all it, and that was ingrained into it, so it carried on from there. But they don't have any of that now, you know. And the same as St Mary's, all those guys up there, Tony, that you said, that's where they all started. And the Holy Name Society.
Maybe we've got to take a leaf out of Brother Noel's book and then maybe do what everybody does now on social media, get a WhatsApp, be more connected to the younger people, get them all going.
Yeah, we're working on those at the moment. He's the second one now that's come through there. It's been great.
No one really knows. They're blinded.
Yeah,
He's only heard from the parish priest.
we're
We're named all the time.
Tony, we're working on
I
something.
understand, but that's
So what we'll do, we'll just keep going just briefly through our areas of needs, and at the end we might just see if there's any obvious ones that is in our parish that is not on this list, because we should add to it, because we're trying to develop this to be relevant to our own branch.
So to continue on that, do you want to go?
I think we've done a reasonable.
Okay.
So basically what we see a need for a Catholic lay voice promoting defending Catholic values, in addition to our church hierarchy and our priests speaking about these issues. Confronting secularism's black hole. You know, there's no values supporting a lot of these secular ideas, so we just get more and more outrageous and extreme and anti-Christian, anti-Catholic values being thrust on us. Interaction between like-minded brothers across Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, internationally. As we know from last year, we had our brother from the Order in Mauritius come to visit us, and a lot of things he was talking about were relevant. Migrant integration, sense of encouragement, trust and belonging. We know, for example, Brother Pierre, I know he's valued being part of the Knights as well, helped him to settle into a new country. Of course, the Knights has its own interest groups, our racing club, our golf club. Maybe we should be looking at debating and men's health sessions. The KC division had some successful mornings organised a few years ago when they had a guest speaker come, and it was not only for our own members but for members of the general public. As we know, our branch is involved with the community soup vans. Other branches are involved with asylum seekers, refugees and their children. I know there are some branches who have successfully lobbied for Catholics and Christian people in their community against being sent back to their own country where they were going to face deportation. They were able to, the Knights in those branches were able to get organised and successfully lobby for those people. And there's another group called the Southern Cross Young Adults, which is in the early stages, but it's in the formation of our young adults into a coordinated body. Maybe sort of alluding to what Brother Kevin was saying before with groups such as the Holy Name Society. Now the next list is the same, but it's just having put into portfolios. So the idea is to identify a list of needs, various needs in our parish, in our community. Maybe that last list didn't identify them, but this is to actually put them into the different portfolios. So the Catholic lay voice, promoting Catholic values, responding to secularism's black hole, issues confronting Catholics, communication. We might see that as the community, that's presently the community relations portfolio. Relations with clergy, spiritual formation, running retreats and rosary crusades and participating in the plenary 2020. That could be another portfolio, maybe our church portfolio, but it's up to the branch to develop these portfolios to meet their local needs. Human resources, divided into practical support through a variety of skills from trades and professions and using them in working bees. We also shouldn't forget the intellectual side of human resources. One of our objects of our order is to conduct spiritual, social and intellectual activities. Maybe our order is not as strong in the intellectual area as it once was, but training in organisational personal development, discussion and debate, expectations, public speaking, confidence building. I know my own personal development, being in the Knights for nearly 27 years, my public speaking and my confidence, even I can use it in my work, but I've developed a lot of that through my involvement with the Knights. So that's something maybe we don't promote, but that's certainly a need of our members and people in our church, and particularly young people too, who may be struggling with a little bit of confidence.
We had that, and it just died. I mean, you had a book in to get to it, you know, they could actually have, I forget the chap's name that used to run it, who died not so long ago.
Tom Petrie.
Tom Petrie,
Yeah.
Like there'd be 10 or 15 there every night he ran one, wasn't there?
Yeah, through Nazareth College.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
But see, we might identify that as a need in our local area, in our church, developing public speaking not only of our own members and our own families, but for students, young people, people who are trying to get jobs. So that would be meeting a need. But that would be, we might have to create a new portfolio for that.
Well, so I'll look at my own case. I joined 10 years ago this year. Now I remember when I joined, there's no way I would have even thought of standing up here addressing everyone here tonight on something like this. I would have been too timid to. But the skills that I've developed, the personal skills and the public presentation skills, serve me to get me where I am now. And that's one thing. I think that's one thing we've got to struggle in terms of promoting to others, is the personal development that you get being in an organisation like ours, and especially when you take on an area of responsibility. You do develop skills like public presentation, public speaking, minute taking, organisation, and so on.
So grouping some further activities, areas of participation and needs, finance, budgeting, fundraising, stewardship are all put together in one portfolio. It might be the economic portfolio. migrant integration. So developing a sense of belonging for new arrivals in our parish. Community works, working with asylum seekers and refugees. Lobbying for refugees. That can all be, that we might find that there's a big need for that, and that's something we may need to recruit some people with particular skills to, if we see that as a priority, we'd like to be involved in. Of course, we have our interest groups, golf, racing, debating, men's health sessions, social, that all in one portfolio. Let's keep going. Of course, fraternity and social, we already do that quite well, but there may be other things that we could add into that area. Welcoming newcomers, developing relationships with other branches. They used to have twinning with other branches, which worked quite well. We're starting to develop that again in our own branch with Essendon branch, which is a good way of sharing and interacting with like-minded brothers from the other side of the city. And then of course we have the portfolio of our administration, so our chairman, our secretary, our treasurer. That will be a separate portfolio. So the idea, the process we would like the branch to look at is, first of all, to look at, okay, what are we currently doing? What are the needs of our parishes and our church in our part of the world? Are there any needs there that we identify that aren't being met by our present activities? And if they are, okay, we should list them down and see if that's something that is we can do with our existing membership. If there isn't, okay, what do we need to do? If, say, for example, we say we really feel there's a need to do public speaking, okay, so we say, okay, maybe one thing we can do is to organise a public speaking course. Do we have sufficient members in our branch who can meet the requirements to organise a public speaking course? If we do, we can utilise our membership to meet that need. If we don't, that gives us a reason to go out and target members. We can say, what we're trying to do is organise a public speaking. We might say, Bill, we heard that you're very good at public speaking. Would you like to use your expertise and skills to help train our younger people in our parish?
But you discussed this last year, about public speaking, but nothing happened.
No, that's what I'm saying.
We discuss it,
Yeah.
but we don't follow it.
No, that's another
We
important.
know that if people had their public speaking skills, then they would promote themselves and other things that could be within the organisation. So you need to develop that in order to develop the unity you come.
Yeah. So this is just the start of the process. So what we really would like to, as a branch together, maybe we do it at a subcommittee level even. What are there? We may even say, okay, there might be certain members of our branch who are more interested in like the community relations area or the economic area or the social area or the personal development area. Maybe we should form some subcommittees, 3 or 4 members meet in between meetings and develop, okay, these are the needs that we've identified and this is what we'd like to see. We might say, we've talked about public speaking enough times, let's actually map out a process to actually start getting these things into fruition rather than just talk about them, do nothing for the next month, come back the following month and talk about them a little bit more again. So that's just the idea. We sort of to develop a process by which the branch can put some of these things into more concrete action.
Brother Gerard?
These are great ideas for strong, active branches, but you were started off the meeting talking about branches that are struggling to survive. I mean, I think you need to get down to the grassroots and get them strong before you start going into a branch with 3 or 4 members and tell them to organise some sort of.
Okay, yeah, well, we agree with you. That's why we're doing something in, rather than just wrestle in our laurels and say, oh, we're branch of the year, we're the best. Let's not, let's just keep going as we are. Let's use this process while we're a strong branch and become an even stronger branch. And as you said, let's help the Oakleys and the Knox branches and start up a branch in St Mary's.
what
other
we,
areas.
what we want to do is establish ourselves as being the reliable ones, the ones that anyone, our priests, our clergy can come to, priests, our parishioners can come to if they need support for anything. The one thing that I found with our branch has a great reputation for being reliable, for being available, for being there. We've got to work on, and we've got to keep that. Reputation. And that goes to finding new needs, finding new areas. But we can't just be us, the same people. We've got to look at. So say we do, you know, look at one of these. If we know there's someone within our parishes that could fit that need, that's a good opportunity to say, listen, we're looking at doing this, we'd like you to come on board, and we know that you're interested in this field, we'd like you to come on board and take this on. So that's what this is all about, is to try and identify those needs to see if we can find these people that can come and join us and take on those roles.
One other thing that we're looking at as well, which has been discussed at the executive level, is we have a lot of activity, but sometimes we're probably, all the members here are quite involved in branch activities, whereas we have some members who aren't able to get involved in our present activities. Maybe they might have an interest to be involved, maybe they have a need, or they have something to offer that we haven't explored yet and haven't made possible for them. There may be members who can't come to meetings regularly, but may be able to help our branch to meet the needs. So this is, sometimes we say, well, the executive seem to be doing a lot, we seem to be doing everything. That's not an ideal situation. We should be opening it up so that everybody should be able to contribute. The idea would be every member of our branch is actively involved in one of these little, at least one of these areas, They might have a real interest in debating or spiritual formation or working bees or something. So we want to have something available in the branch for every one of our members, to even a member who may be 90. We're still meeting his interest, and he might be able to come to meetings regularly, but if we could get a forum for him to contribute his ideas or something, I think that would we want all our members to feel valuable and important, and that they're actually achieving something rather than just coming to a meeting for the sake of it and not giving them anything to do afterwards. So I think probably at this stage, that's sort of the overall process that we're trying to explain what the order's going through, and we'd like our branch to just to look at some of these things, maybe not at branch meetings only, but maybe have a process by which some of our members meet in between branch meetings and explore some of these areas in a bit more depth. And then we can come back with some recommendations at our monthly branch meeting and go there.
Well, I think we'd like everyone to go home over the next few days, week or so, month or whatever. Think about some of these things. We'll send a copy of the presentation to everyone. Think about these. Think about what you think. Think about needs. See if there are any needs within our parishes, and then think about what we can do to meet those needs and how we can get new members from that. So this is something, like I said, we're presenting it because it's been discussed over and over, and we felt it was time that we did something about it. So we thought we could do it. We could present it at a branch meeting. The idea is that hopefully other branches will take this on and go with it from there. So ideally, go away, jot down some ideas, jot down what your ideas are, needs. Even if you have a vision, put it down.
What I think you should do, or we all should do, all think of why or how you joined the Knights.
Yep.
Because coming through this now, I'm thinking going back 40 years ago. I know it's old, but we all sort of joined up. But we all used to go to work and bees at the school there. I think of Marco, Bradell, Angelo, all members of the Knights, John Cook, John Cullen, heaps of them. Must have been, I could probably sat down and write down 20, 25 names. They all didn't last forever because we couldn't give them stuff. They were all hands-on men.
Yeah.
Tony Coppins, and they wanted to do things. But they all, and that's the way we all met. We have to do a working bee, but every month there might be 5 you're on duty here. That was part of your your children being at school. You either had to pay a fee or you had to go to work and these. And that's where we all met. And that's where we all joined the Knights. John, you know, I could probably name 30 guys. And I'm going back, I said a lot, but that's how it all started. So what these newer ones are they've got to real. I can remember how Jerry started. It was in that hall there. Jerry, what we talked to you about it? You know, and
That was during the stewardship.
a stewardship program. You know, think of that, how you got it, and how you, because I said my days are all gone, but that's how we did it.
Thank you, Kevin. I thank all the members for their contribution. I think we've had a reasonable from our. What we didn't want it to do was just be myself and Andrew doing all the talking. So we really appreciate the members' contributions. Maybe I would like to have us a little bit of something to do before our next meeting, or before our next branch meeting at least, because we're having a combined meeting in March. So do we feel that we could all go home and do a little bit of homework and just sort of look at our presentation? If you think you'd like some changes to the branch mission or the vision statement, or
Remember, that's not specifically our branch vision.
that's
mission,
something
that's
to
just a
start with,
generic
and we can develop that, because it's going to be ultimately our branch vision statement. This is one written to sort of cover everyone in Victoria, but it's not meant to be. No, it's like Father Tony said. There's no typical parish in our church. There's also no typical branch. Every branch has got different people, different needs, different circumstances. So, yeah, so we all, ideally, every branch should have its own mission statement that's developed itself. So what we'd like to do is, if we could have our members just look at our presentation. If you'd like to make some comments on the mission statement and the vision, and then also if you wanted to add any ideas for the activities, then we could, Andrew and myself could see if we can see if that could be allocated to an existing portfolio, or would there be a new portfolio need to be created? What do we say about that, brother?
Oh, I think we just go with that, yeah. You can send it all to us on email.
Well, I just asked one question, like, you went back a couple of slides. There was a topic there, and it says retreats. What are you going to do? Are you just going to outsource it, or what's that mean? Retreats?
For example, the Bendigo branch, they run what's called a piscatorial retreat. They've done it for a number of years. It's just for their own members. I don't have a real lot of information about it, but I know that it's quite successful and they get a lot of people come to it. So it's like a men's retreat, and I think it goes for a week, you know, but it, so, you know, there's different retreats that we can, if we wanted to, if our members would like to have a retreat to meet a particular need, we can organise one, or we can organise one for the men of our parish. Or
Every month, just about, they have one year retreat for something. I don't know if anybody goes.
Oh yeah,
But that's the thing, like, it's a nice source thing, like, it's
Sorry?
available, so something that would be available to us if we wanted to, but it's not run by us.
No, but I was saying,
We run by groups like
there's
this.
hardly a month goes
That's
by,
the
there's
thing,
not a
there.
retreat somewhere in the notice sheet, is there? Every
So-
second month where they're having a retreat for men or women or something. But who goes? I don't.
That retreat, I think that was referring probably to the one that Baptist Marsh do for the young kids.
Okay, yeah, that's.
But it is the same.
Well, once again, it all goes back to the needs of our members, and the needs of our parish.
Yeah, but who runs it? Does the nice of the person back as person run the retreat, or do they get someone in to do it?
They get somebody else to do it.
So that's what I think, you know, are we going to end up just being the source of
Sorry,
you know, someone even won't find.
No, but that's something to think about. Again, that's something we go away, think about it. Jot down some of these ideas, see what you think.
Because there's plenty of things that we need, but we mightn't be able to do them. We've
No.
got down there like training courses.
No, I know. There are a lot of things that are probably beyond our scope, but that's where we can say, okay, do we know of someone that could? And that's one way we can encourage them into the order. So that's
Just
just,
to, can we wrap this up?
yeah,
Because,
that's what I was going to say.
We'd also like to thank Brother Jerry for allowing us to do our presentation as the syllabus item this evening. So appreciate it, Brother Jerry.
Well done.
Thank you very much.